A millionaire father had everything money could buy except time for his family. He had forgotten the simplest moments, including his son's big game. But when he finally decided to watch, he had no idea the boy would astonish everyone, leaving the entire crowd and his father completely speechless. What happens next is a heartwarming story of pride, talent, and a bond long neglected in the heart of the city. In a towering glass and steel mansion that shimmered under the midday sun, lived a man who had everything the world could offer. Ironically, the one thing he truly lacked: presence. Benjamin Hartwell, a self-made millionaire, had built his empire from nothing. His name was synonymous with success. His face adorned the covers of business magazines, and his wealth could buy experiences most people could only dream of. Yet, within the walls of his vast estate, the echoes of emptiness resonated far louder than any applause his business ventures ever garnered. Benjamin's days were governed by schedules, meetings, and strategic decisions that demanded his undivided attention. Every second of his life was accounted for, every moment meticulously planned. Yet, in the relentless pursuit of success, he had made one critical oversight: his family. The mansion was filled with the trappings of luxury art from renowned painters, rooms decorated in every style imaginable, and a collection of cars that could rival any showroom, but it was not a home in the true sense. It was a palace of accomplishments, yet devoid of warmth. His wife, once a spirited partner in his journey, had long since learned to navigate her life around his absence. She managed the household with quiet grace, ensuring their son, Lucas, never felt the sting of neglect more than he could bear. But no matter how carefully she shielded him, the truth was undeniable. Lucas grew up with a father who was physically present only in glimpses, his attention forever divided between boardrooms and phone calls. Lucas Hartwell was a remarkable boy in his own right. At 10 years old, he possessed a natural talent for athletics, an uncanny ability to strategize, and an infectious enthusiasm for life. Yet beneath his confident exterior lurked a quiet yearning, deep desire for his father's approval and attention. Each morning, he would glance at the schedule Benjamin had taped to the fridge, hoping, just hoping, that today might be the day his father would pause, even for a moment, to attend his school events. But day after day, business calls, investor meetings, and travel commitments took precedence. It was not that Benjamin lacked love for his son. On the contrary, he felt it deeply, though often in a way that remained unexpressed. He believed that providing for Lucas materially was enough, that every trophy, every gadget, every privilege he could offer would make up for his absence. But love, he would eventually learn, was not measured in wealth. It was measured in attention, in shared moments, in being there when it truly mattered. And Benjamin, despite all his accomplishments, had been missing the moments that mattered most, as the autumn leaves began to fall, signaling the approach of the school's annual sports day. Lucas prepared for the highlight of his year, the soccer championship, a match he had been training for tirelessly. Every afternoon, he ran drills in the backyard, his little legs pumping tirelessly, his face set with determination. Each night, he imagined the crowd cheering, the thrill of scoring the winning goal, and above all, seeing his father's face in the stands, a proud smile lighting up the way he had always imagined it. Benjamin, meanwhile, was absorbed in negotiations for a major corporate merger. Contracts, board meetings, and high-stakes calls consumed him from dawn until dusk. Even the mention of the upcoming game barely registered. It was not malice or neglect. It was the natural consequence of a life dominated by ambition. Yet, somewhere deep inside, a faint whisper of guilt tugged at him. He noticed, in fleeting moments, the empty spaces in his son's life school plays he could not attend, recitals he had missed, and little victories celebrated without him. Each reminder made him wince, though he buried it quickly beneath the armor of duty and responsibility. The evening before the championship, Benjamin returned home later than usual, exhausted and distracted. The mansion was quiet. The staff had already left, and his wife was in the kitchen preparing a light dinner. Lucas ran up to him, holding his soccer jersey tightly, eyes gleaming with excitement. "Dad, will you come to the game tomorrow?" the boy asked, almost breathless with hope. Benjamin paused, the question piercing through the fog of his thoughts. He had promised himself he would attend one event, at least one, to bridge the growing distance between him and his son. But a part of him hesitated. The deals, the meetings, the deadlines all whispered insistently in his mind. He forced a smile, trying to mask the internal conflict. "I'll try, Lucas," he said, voice careful and measured. "I have a very busy day tomorrow, but I'll try to come." Lucas's shoulders drooped slightly, though he nodded. He knew try often meant maybe not, but still, the hope in his heart refused to be extinguished entirely. He went to bed that night, imagining the possibility that his father might finally be there, in the stands, cheering him on. Morning came crisp and bright. The stadium buzzing with students, parents, and teachers eager for the championship match. Benjamin, true to his word, stepped into the stands just as the teams were lining up. His suit was impeccable, his watch gleaming in the sunlight, yet there was an unfamiliar tension in his posture. He felt out of place among cheering parents. Surrounded by laughter and excitement he had long neglected to experience. From across the field, Lucas spotted him and froze for a moment, disbelief mingling with hope. Was it really him? The boy's heart pounded as he realized that, at long last, his father had shown up. For a fleeting moment, the years of absence seemed to fade, replaced by a fragile, tentative hope that maybe, just maybe, this day could be different. As the referee blew the whistle and the game began, Benjamin watched with a mixture of anxiety and anticipation. He had no idea that what he was about to witness would not only astonish everyone in the stadium, but would also become the catalyst for a transformation in their relationship, a moment where pride, astonishment, and love collided in a way he had never imagined. In that instant, Benjamin Hartwell, the man who had conquered the business world, the one who had amassed wealth beyond imagination, realized how much he had missed. He understood, perhaps for the first time, that no fortune could replace the simple, irreplaceable moments of being truly present for his child. Little did he know, Lucas was about to do something extraordinary, a display of skill, determination, and heart that would leave the crowd stunned and Benjamin speechless. And in that moment, the forgotten father would face a truth far more powerful than any business success. the irreplaceable value of family, presence, and the magic of witnessing a child shine. The morning sun poured golden light across the school's soccer field, illuminating the freshly painted lines and the eager faces of students, parents, and teachers. The championship game had drawn a large crowd, yet Lucas Hartwell felt a pang of nervousness that no one else could sense. He was not just playing for victory, he was playing for acknowledgement, for the chance to finally have his father notice him, to bridge the invisible distance that had defined their relationship for years. Lucas had trained relentlessly for this day. Every evening after school, he ran drills in the backyard, practicing precise passes, swift maneuvers, and calculated shots at goal. He visualized every possible scenario, imagining the roar of the crowd, the thrill of a winning goal, and above all, his father's face in the stands. He yearned not for applause or recognition from others, but for the simple, elusive approval of the man who had long been absent from the milestones of his life. The boy's mother had been his quiet support, encouraging him without pressuring him. She reminded him that his father's presence, though inconsistent, was no measure of his worth. Yet even her reassurance could not entirely soothe the butterflies in his stomach. He glanced toward the stands repeatedly, scanning the crowd for any sign of Benjamin. Minutes passed, and the game's opening whistle blew, forcing Lucas to focus on the task at hand. The first half of the game was tense. Lucas's team moved with practiced skill, passing the ball with coordination. Yet every time he approached the goal, his thoughts briefly wandered to his father. Would he be proud if he scored? Would he notice the effort he had poured into each drill, each practice session? The uncertainty gnawed at him, threatening to undermine the confidence he had so carefully built. As the clock ticked forward, Lucas began to sense the stakes were higher than mere competition. He realized that this game was as much about his own personal growth as it was about victory. Every sprint, every feint, every calculated pass became an exercise in focus, determination, and mental resilience. The pressure of his father's potential presence added weight, but it also sharpened his resolve. Meanwhile, Benjamin watched from the stands, feeling awkward and out of place. The polished, commanding presence he carried in boardrooms and luxury offices seemed irrelevant here among parents and children. He felt exposed, small in a way that no business negotiation could ever induce. Yet beneath that discomfort was a stirring of anticipation, a fragile hope that perhaps his son would rise to the occasion and that, for once, he could witness it firsthand. Lucas's determination began to pay off. He executed precise passes, outmaneuvered defenders with a deft combination of speed and strategy, and maintained a calm focus that belied his age. The crowd began to notice, murmuring with growing excitement at his skill and composure. Teachers leaned forward, parents whispered encouragement, and teammates looked to him as a guiding force on the field. Then came a critical moment, a chance to score a decisive goal. The ball rolled toward Lucas, defenders closing in from all sides. The moment required not just skill, but vision, courage, and split-second decision-making. Lucas paused briefly, assessing the field, anticipating the moves of his opponents. His heart pounded, adrenaline surged, and yet he remained calm, recalling every practice, every drill, every lesson in focus and resilience. With a sudden burst of precision and agility, Lucas struck the ball. It soared through the air, curving past the outstretched arms of the goalkeeper, and landed squarely in the net. The crowd erupted in cheers, a wave of jubilation washing over the field. Teachers clapped, teammates shouted in delight, and parents leaped to their feet in astonishment. Lucas stood for a moment, chest heaving, eyes wide, not just at the goal itself, but at the reaction it provoked. Benjamin, however, was frozen. His gaze had been fixed on his son throughout the play, and now he felt a mixture of awe, pride, and a piercing sense of regret. He had been absent for so many milestones, so many moments that defined Lucas's growth, and yet here he was, witnessing brilliance that he had almost missed. A wave of emotion swept over him, love, amazement, and guilt interwoven into a single, overwhelming force. The boy, catching sight of his father, felt a spark of hope ignite. Benjamin's eyes met his, and for the first time, Lucas saw a reflection of pride, genuine and unrestrained. It was not a fleeting acknowledgement or a polite smile, what's recognition, admiration, and love distilled into a single, powerful gaze. In that moment, all the hours of practice, all the silent longing, all the moments of isolation and effort coalesced into a triumph far greater than a goal on a scoreboard. The game continued, but the focus had shifted. Lucas moved with renewed confidence, every pass and run infused with a sense of purpose beyond victory. He was playing to connect with his father, to bridge the gap that had grown over years of neglect. Every successful maneuver was met with cheers, but the most important cheer came silently, without sound, from the man in the stands. Benjamin's presence, long absent, now resonated as a force stronger than any applause. By the end of the game, Lucas's team had secured a hard-fought victory. Teammates lifted him onto their shoulders, celebrating, yet he barely noticed the external accolades. His eyes constantly sought Benjamin, who had moved from his reserved perch in the stands to the front row, clapping with genuine pride. The transformation was palpable. The father who had been distant, distracted, and preoccupied now fully present. His heart aligned with the joy and achievement of his son. After the game, the crowd began to disperse, but Benjamin remained. He walked toward Lucas, feeling a strange combination of humility and exhilaration. His son, seeing him approach, felt a mixture of anticipation and cautious optimism. Words were not necessary at first. Sometimes the gravity of a shared moment spoke louder than language. Benjamin knelt briefly, placing a hand on Lucas's shoulder. And the boy felt the warmth and reassurance he had longed for. "You did amazing," Benjamin said finally, his voice steady but thick with emotion. I should have been here all along." Lucas smiled, a mixture of pride and forgiveness in his expression. "It's okay, Dad," he said softly. I wanted you to see it." The embrace that followed was more than a simple hug. It was a reconciliation of absence and presence, a merging of love and acknowledgement that had been delayed but not denied. In that instant, both father and son realized the profound truth that had been waiting for them. All along, wealth and success are hollow without connection. And every shared moment carries value far beyond material measure. As they walked off the field together, hand in hand, Benjamin understood that this day would mark a turning point, not just in his son's life, but in his own. He vowed to be more present, to prioritize what truly mattered, and to cherish every small victory, every smile, every effort, and every moment that could never be replicated. And Lucas, once anxious and longing for approval, now felt seen, recognized, and cherished in a way that would forever shape his confidence and his bond with his father. The championship game had ended, but a greater victory had been achieved, one measured not in points or trophies, but in love, presence, and the quiet, transformative power of attention. The stadium, once alive with cheers and excitement, gradually emptied, leaving only the echoes of celebration and the rustle of fallen autumn leaves. Lucas Hartwell had already returned his soccer jersey to the locker room, but he lingered near the edge of the field, scanning the stands. The moment he had longed for, the one fleeting connection with his father, had come and gone. Yet he could not shake the memory of Benjamin's gaze, brimming with pride and awe. Benjamin, meanwhile, walked slowly toward the exit, his mind replaying every second of the game. The skill, the poise, the courage of his son. It was more than he had expected, more than he had imagined possible. In boardrooms and offices, he had measured success in numbers, in contracts, in victories over competitors. But here, in this open-air field, amidst the raw energy of a child's determination, he recognized a truth that no ledger, no investment, no accumulation of wealth could ever quantify: the priceless value of presence. He paused midway, turning back toward the field, and spotted Lucas still waiting. The boy's posture was upright, his eyes bright yet tentative, as if daring to hope once more. Benjamin felt a pang of guilt, a realization that he had been absent far too long, that countless moments had passed without his acknowledgement or support. And yet, in that instant, he knew he could change the trajectory of their relationship. Starting here, starting now. "Lucas," Benjamin called, his voice steady but tinged with emotion. The boy's head snapped toward him, a cautious smile forming on his lips. "I saw you, Dad," Lucas said softly, almost in disbelief. I wanted you to see it." Benjamin knelt, bringing himself closer to eye level with his son. "I did," he said, his voice thick with feeling. "And I couldn't be prouder. I should have been here for every game, every moment, every victory. And I wasn't. I missed too much. And for that, I'm sorry." Lucas studied him for a moment, searching for sincerity, for proof that this acknowledgement was genuine. Then, slowly, he stepped forward and placed his small hand in his father's. The simple gesture carried more weight than words. Trust, love, forgiveness, and a bond long neglected but now being mended. "I forgive you, Dad," Lucas whispered, and Benjamin felt a surge of relief and gratitude unlike anything he had experienced in his life. The father and son walked together toward the parking lot, their steps in sync for the first time in years. Benjamin glanced down at Lucas, seeing not just a boy, but a young man growing into his own confidence and resilience, a reflection of all that he had missed, yet still had the chance to nurture. Over the following days, Benjamin began to make changes that were immediately noticeable. Board meetings were adjusted, trips postponed, and phone calls deferred, not because business was less important, but because he now recognized that family was paramount. He scheduled time for Lucas, not as a token gesture, but as a deliberate commitment to be present, to witness the milestones that defined a child's growth, and to celebrate them together. Lucas noticed the difference almost immediately. Mornings that had once passed in anxious anticipation now began with shared breakfasts and conversations. Weekends that had previously been filled with solitary practice now included guidance and encouragement from his father. The boy's confidence soared not merely from skill, but from the reassurance that his father truly saw him, appreciated him, and valued the effort he put into every endeavor. One afternoon, Benjamin surprised Lucas by attending another practice session unannounced. The boy froze initially, unsure whether to expect judgment or praise. Benjamin merely smiled, a warmth in his eyes that Lucas had seldom seen. "Show me what you've been working on," Benjamin said. His tone was calm, encouraging, free from pressure or expectation. Lucas hesitated for a fraction of a second, then sprang into motion, executing a series of maneuvers he had been perfecting. Benjamin watched, heart swelling with pride, and for the first time, felt a connection that transcended wealth, ambition, and status. He realized that true success was not in acquisitions or accolades, but in these moments of shared growth. In the quiet joy of witnessing a child excel. The school year progressed, and Lucas continued to shine in his athletic endeavors. But more importantly, his bond with his father strengthened. Benjamin attended every game he could, each one a testament to the transformation within him. He discovered that being present did not diminish his power or authority, it enhanced it, giving him a deeper sense of fulfillment than any business triumph could provide. At the next championship game, the crowd buzzed with anticipation, but Lucas barely noticed the spectators. His eyes constantly sought Benjamin, who stood proudly in the front row, a smile illuminating his face. The moment he scored the winning goal, Lucas sprinted toward his father, who met him with open arms. In that embrace, the years of absence, neglect, and longing melted away, replaced by love, recognition, and the promise of shared moments yet to come. Benjamin had changed, but the transformation extended beyond him. Lucas, emboldened by the unwavering support of his father, grew into a young man who understood not only his own abilities but the value of perseverance, patience, and familial bonds. The lessons of the game and of his father's eventual presence would stay with him for a lifetime, shaping his character, his confidence, and his understanding of true success. The mansion that had once felt hollow now resonated with laughter, conversation, and the warmth of family. Benjamin learned to celebrate victories both big and small, understanding that the richest moments in life were not those that could be bought, but those that were lived together, in quiet moments. Benjamin would reflect on the day he attended his son's game for the first time. He thought about the fear of missing out on life's irreplaceable experiences, the guilt of neglect, and the powerful reminder that attention and love could never be substituted by wealth or accomplishment. He had learned that being present was not optional, it was essential. And it was never too late to begin. Lucas, watching his father cheer during each practice, each match, and each small achievement, understood a profound truth. Even when someone is absent, hope can endure, and the right moment can transform a relationship forever. He learned that forgiveness could bridge years of absence, and that shared moments, no matter how delayed, could create a foundation stronger than time or distance. The championship game had been won, but a greater victory had been achieved, a victory measured not in goals or trophies, but in presence, connection, and the lasting bond between a father and his son. Benjamin Hartwell had discovered that the greatest wealth was not in money or property, but in being there when it mattered most, in witnessing the growth of a child, and in nurturing a relationship that had waited patiently for acknowledgement. As the sun set over the stadium, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson, father and son walked home side by side. The world had not changed. The challenges of life would continue, but the distance between them had closed, and in its place was trust, pride, and a shared joy that would endure forever. And so, a forgotten father, once absorbed in the pursuit of wealth and success, finally understood that the greatest triumphs are not won in boardrooms, but on fields of effort, in moments of connection, and in the heart of a child who simply wants to be seen.